I came to the masjid. He was hit by a car on his way to the Masjid Nur, to the Markaz in Cleveland. He was on his way to read the Jummah khutbah, and he was hit by a car. And the Markaz is in the hood. It's not in the most upscale part of town. And he was left for dead. No one to this day, they don't know who hit him. This was maybe 2 weeks ago. So since the moment he was hit, he was in coma. He was unconscious, and we visited him shortly after, and he wasn't medically in good shape. And then I visited him again a week after that, and he still was in a coma and not doing so well, and he actually passed away the next day. I live in Inna Lillahi wa Inna Ilayhi Raji'un. I live in Chicago, and I'm imam in this masjid 5 days a week in Cleveland. So I went home to visit my family. I have 2 days off, which, by the way, when an imam in a masjid has two days off, everybody freaks out and says this man should be chained to the musalla. But at any rate, so my 2 days off, I got there and I received the news that he had passed away. So I turned around and went back for his janazah. And the thing that made me do it, which is obviously it's not a contractual obligation, but at the end of the day, just because the imam gets paid for doing what he does, it doesn't mean he's not a Muslim, So the thing that made me do it is that every Muslim should have and cherish inside of their heart this hope and desire from Allah Ta'ala, that Allah Ta'ala takes them when they're doing something good in their finest moment, not when they're doing something wrong or evil or embarrassing or pointless, but that Allah Ta'ala gives their life some sort of meaning. And our Bhai Yunus, Allah Ta'ala have mercy on him, he was on his way not only to pray the SWT al-Jum'ah, but to read the khutbah, and it was a khidmat that he used to do. And many of the brothers afterward, they told me, they said this brother, he used to go around in those neighborhoods that we were afraid to drive through, and he would go and talk to people, Muslim and non-Muslim, and encourage them to come to the masjid and tell them about the deen and call people to Allah Ta'ala. And it reminded me of a simple fact that I think a lot of people are oblivious to, and some of them willfully, that Islam is not a consumer good. It's not something that you come to the masjid to receive a service or to purchase a service in lieu of membership or birthright or donation. But Islam is something that we are all bound and obliged to serve, that we should come to the masjid and we should come to the deen as slaves. And this is a sensibility that our forefathers had, that would wake them up in the middle of the night, that they would feel bad, that what kind of Allah Ta'ala created us to worship Him. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. لِيَعْبُدُونَ meaning to perform my slavery. Literally, that's what one of the meanings of it is. To be my abd, to be my slave. That from our forefathers, there are people, mashallah, Shaykh is like a solid hafiz, he reads the Quran, inside out from memory, led Taraweeh so many years and studied for so many years. And I met some of his SWT. They're really upright people of like an amount of knowledge I think most people cannot conceive of. And I'm talking about from our forefathers, those people were simple and illiterate. I'm not talking about Imam Ghazali and Imam Abu Hanifa and we're not talking about those people. We're talking about the ones that were simple and illiterate, and it would disturb them at night. They wouldn't be able to sleep through the entire night thinking that, what kind of slave am I that I'm sleeping in my bed and the master is awake and never sleeps. It's been replaced with a very Walmart type of ideology, like Walmart but with Bismillah and Assalamu alaikum. If we come to the house of Allah Ta'ala, we're the slaves. We serve at the dictate and the pleasure of the master. And the one who is there to serve, that person will not be comfortable until they're performing their service. And to go out in the path of Allah Ta'ala, whatever that may mean. that's a great honor for the slave. And it's a sunnah of Islam that has been ignored by many people in the time and place that we live in for far too long. So this is the compressed Jummah khutbah that we're going to wrap up in less than 60 seconds, which is what? Is that, do this, that every day leave your home for some portion of the time, of the day, of the week, of the month, of the year, of your life. Leave your home for the sake of Allah Ta'ala in order to do some service for the deen. If your mind works well, go study something, go memorize the Quran, sit in the halaqat and durus of fiqh and aqidah and hadith, tafsir. If your body is strong, then go, move things for people who are moving and serve the elderly that need, people to drive stuff around for them. If you have a car, if whatever. If you have money, go spend your money in the path of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, because the property of the slave, the Sharia, when you study in madrasa, they still teach the books of fiqh, like all these ahkam of slavery, and a person thinks, what's the point of it anymore, right? There's no more slavery left in the world, except for very little. It's very interesting, you read this, right? The property of the slave belongs to who? It belongs to the master. If the slave legally owns like $5, and the master takes the $5, they can't go to the court and say he stole from me. Why? Because the property of the slave belongs to who? To the master. So we will never have any slaves, and it's probably for the best. But what does it teach you about your relationship with Allah Ta'ala? That the property of the slave belongs to who? It belongs to the master. These types of things. If nothing else, if you're just a thoroughly offensive person who has no physical health and no wealth and no property, and you're not gonna, if you try to tell someone about Islam, they're going to, run away from it, and you have nothing else you can do. You can show up to the masjid and, sweep the floor. If you're physically not even able to do that, even dhikr itself is a sadaqah. Go sit in the house of Allah Ta'ala and, take the divine name, Allah, Allah, and make dua for the ummah, the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That's not a small khidmah, that's a great khidmah. The Sahaba used to sit to do that. Radiallahu anhum. The Aslaf used to do that. The great people of this ummah used to do that. It's not a small thing. But nobody has the excuse to cop out and be like, well, I'm just trying to do my own thing. Is it fard? No. Okay, I'm out. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. That's not, I'm not going to say you're a kafir if you're doing that. But what I'm saying, you're not doing Islam the way it should be done. So Allah Ta'ala gave us examples from time to time, people like Bhai Yunus, Allah have mercy on him. I think his son actually lives somewhere in Dallas, like an Epic or something like that. That do what you're supposed to be doing. And maybe Allah Ta'ala will also give us the sa'adat, the happiness and the felicity that He should take our soul in a moment that validates and gives meaning to and purpose to our life. That we should meet Him in a way that's a matter of pride rather than embarrassing. Despite what people like me and like Shaykh Maulana Kashif, our khutbahs and sermons, despite what we say, a little thing, not everyone goes to Jahannam, There's some people that are not going to go to Jahannam, even though maybe we'll scare you and make you feel like, not everyone goes to Jahannam. Some people will be very proud and happy on the Day of Judgment. Allah Ta'ala make us from amongst them. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala Rasulih Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ya Nabi Yakum.